Welcome back to In the Oven with Adam and Brad, and we are in our new setup today.
New digs.
Obviously not finalized. We kind of just like threw some stuff up behind us to give you guys a little bit to look at besides us. But yeah, Aubrey and I officially, I guess, moved out of the house on Friday. We spent the night in our new house on Friday night. And then there's still so much little stuff.
Yeah.
We were talking about this with moving.
Oh, man.
I don't know what it is. You move like the big stuff. You're like, yeah, I'm like almost done. And then I swear we've been moving like a couple items here and there for like the last 3-4 days.
Dude, we just did the house juggle thing where we moved into Sweet Bay while we did some construction on the other house, decided if we want to sell it or not, and then decided we want to move back. And we were only there for like a year, man. The other thing you find out is how much stuff is you have, is how disgusting you are behind the creases and counters and everywhere. You're like, I clean all the time. Like, what is this?
Yeah, I think that especially a bed, when
hair.
Aubrey, they're just like the amount of dust and stuff. I actually bought these like little, like these like mini jacks that you can put underneath your bed to jack up a side so you can like dust under them. It's really cool.
Yeah.
We never used it because I was like, well, we're about to move, but we're going to do it at this new house. You say that, right? And then you don't actually do anything. But it's just all the furniture that you can't like get behind or underneath.
Or you just don't because you don't think about it. You clean everywhere else and you don't think about the crack behind the buffet and you do whatever.
Right,
you know?
yeah. But yeah, I mean, essentially moving all the big furniture that's never moved since we've been here for 3 years.
Yeah. Well, you get your friends to come help or whatever, and you're like, I swear I'm not a dirty person. This is just, the dust is from under things.
Yeah,
Stop looking at it.
Yeah. It's like when as soon as they move it, you're like you get behind them, like trying to vacuum it up. So
well, and then just so much stuff. I mean, I know y'all took a million little trips, and you kind of have the perfect scenario because you're moving right up the road, and this ain't going anywhere. But dude, it seems like laundry basket after laundry basket.
Yeah, it's just like it's things too that like don't fit in a box well, like your blender and your air fryer and your convection oven and your rice cooker, and you're like, so you're just like, just screw it. I'm just gonna like take them to the car, and next thing you know, you've made like 30 individual trips. I think on Friday, I looked at my watch and I had like just under 20,000 steps for the day, which I know doesn't seem like a lot for you because you probably get a ton. But for me, like I have to walk on the treadmill for almost 30 to 45 minutes a day to just make sure I break 10,000.
Yeah.
So to know that I didn't do any running, any walking, and that was just from me moving around, it was a lot.
Yeah, dude, you burn a lot of calories just moving around. So
yeah. But I guess
I was definitely hungry after helping y'all move.
So it's Tuesday. Monday was my first day of driving to work.
Yep.
Like literally driving to work. Sunday, best, I guess it'd be Sunday night to Monday, best night's sleep ever. Letty slept through the night in her bed. Didn't do it again this morning, but that night, great night. I slept 8 hours just straight through.
Yeah, don't have people here at 4 a.m. banging doors. And
Yeah, it's funny. Andy was in here and he was like, oh, dang, I never realized how loud it was in your house, which is surprising. It's 2 foot of spray foam insulated space in between us, but just those doors are so big and heavy. It's the bass and vibration you can't stop. Like, I don't hear people talking. I don't hear any of that stuff, but you just hear the boom, boom, you know? But yeah, so it's been nice to have our own place. I know Aubrey has really enjoyed it. I think yesterday she kind of had a sporadic schedule, so I don't think she fully got to, like, enjoy it. And then plus she's kind of unpacking now. So until we're fully moved in, I think it's going to be – but I think it's honestly – her being pregnant is what's taking so long. She's like, bending over is
draining, man.
Is hard
for
for
sure.
me.
But it'll be nice having that baby and not have to hear any noises or any of that stuff.
Well, and you know, if we would have had the baby here, like the next day, people would be working up here and we'd have a newborn, and that's not very conducive. So, long story short, it worked out just to do it this way, and you know, we have plenty of use for the space up here. Like I said, this was my old bedroom, is now our podcast studio. The closet is actually going to be a storage closet for like a lot of times we buy gifts and stuff, or we get gifts given to us and we just kind of hold them all for a holiday party. So that's gonna be like a storage closet of just like random things for us. In the office, you know, we built 5 desks up there, and I thought, oh, we're gonna have so many desks.
Nope.
Now we actually have ordered another desk to fit 2 more, so we have desk space for 7 more people. We're going to get the conference room set up later this week, and then they're already kind of setting up the content studio, if you will. So that's, it's just fun.
It's good times, man. We're growing fast. Team, especially the management team, is kind of grown. Dude, it's exciting. We've got videographers on staff now, and on top of that, we've got editors that we're able to bring on board. We've got a whole social media team we're building out, both remotes and here. Yeah, it's interesting times for the brand, for sure.
Yeah, and then obviously
meetings, lots of meetings.
Yeah. Well, I think just the coolest part is just like so many people have been like, well, what are you going to do with the house now? And then almost like, well, that was a dumb decision, but it's like, no, it wasn't. It worked out fine. It's great. It's all good. So
we got a truck here.
Yeah. I do. I hear it backing up. So but I would hear that.
Yeah.
I mean, I would hear that when Benny Keith came at 6 a.m. Sometimes I hear that truck backing up.
Wake up, Brad.
When believe it or not, the trash truck.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. You guys all know how loud a trash trunk emptying a dumpster is. Even though literally it's like warehouse between us, there's spray foam insulation, there's all that stuff. That just reverberation, you hear it in here for sure. And by the way, our trash gets emptied Monday through Friday. At between 5 and 6 a.m.
Yep.
So, we've got this new setup. So we have a monitor way over there. I don't know if it's going to be big enough for us to read the way it's set up right now. We're trying our best over here to work through all this stuff. But, bear with us. This room will change. I think we're going to try to paint the wall behind us soon. And so, change has been – I like change, though.
I do too, man. It's fun. It's new. It's exciting. It's interesting. The same old stuff kind of just gets boring.
Yeah. So
I like
it. I guess to roll into some fat and weird news, we are getting a lot of attention on our bites, but specifically in cups. People really enjoy this like grab and go type situation for the bites. More so than we thought, actually.
Yeah, I thought the bags would do better. It's just more space, more retail to do, or branding, right? It just looks better. It's more appealing to me, but have a little cup of bites is also cool too. So
it's funny how that works sometimes in business. Like I didn't even have that idea. And then I was like, hey, while we're at it, why don't we do cups too in like a smaller version? And now that ended up being like one of the better things. So really excited about that. We've gotten some data back from DoorDash on our bites, and they're performing very well.
Very well.
To the point where like, I think we're having stocking issues now when we moved over to a food distributor. So if you didn't know before, we packed every single order here for DoorDash. We would pack them in giant boxes, and we'd ship them via UPS to DoorDash, and then, they would handle everything else from there. But now we ship it by pallets to a food distributor, and then a food distributor kind of restocks the DoorDash locations because obviously it's easier for them. They're delivering anyways. So it's able to save DoorDash some money. But I don't think they're as quick as we were at getting it.
There's a little bit of a slinky effect going on, moving from the direct fulfillment that we were to distributed fulfillment like we're going to, in that not all of the Unify locations are set up as fast as the DoorDash locations are. We've been serving 100 and however many DoorDash locations for however long. Unify is going to do the same stuff out of 12 or 13 distribution centers, and so they're just slower.
Yeah.
Once they get it rolling, though, they'll get their weekly shipments just like everything else. But
right. Yeah. So, like, right now we're dealing with that issue. It's just that we've been told that, like, hey, we're not selling as many cookies right now, but it's because we don't have the product, not because you're not doing as well. So you're like, oh, man, get the product there, please.
Juggle the joys of running a business.
Yeah, and then we also have met with some other online ordering apps and stuff, and we're going to be doing some neat things with them. We're still kind of talking through. Actually, I'll tell you this. I tried last night for the first time, Aubrey and I, the ice cream stuffed cookie that we had, and it was really good. It was, the 2.5 ounce, like little weirdo size, and I was able to bite right into it, right away.
Cool.
And it was very good.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, it's just like we set it out a little bit, but like the cookie dough kind of got like, I wouldn't say room temp, it was still like chilled. Yeah. But then you got like the really cold ice cream on the inside. Yeah. It was good.
Yeah, for those of you that don't know, we're R&Ding a process to stuff our cookies with ice cream. It'll be in the freezer section.
Yeah. Shh. Yeah. So
still secret.
Super fun thing. I think when you think about like fat and weird, at first it was like fat cookies with weird names, but now I'm just trying to be like weird with my cookies. Like I want to do things that people aren't doing. So the name still fits because we're still going to be like fat or stuffed or like that kind of idea. But the weird is kind of now come to mean like the delivery method of cookie dough.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, man. I mean, we do over the top flavors. We do fun stuff, and we're going to keep pushing that. So I think it absolutely fits.
Yeah. So exciting stuff with with the cookie thing, and then I guess we're getting in front of some of those retailers we've been talking to for a while, like within the next week or so.
Yeah,
I mean,
this
you
weekend.
probably know. Oh, this weekend.
Yeah, this weekend. So Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, the North American refrigerated and frozen foods convention. It's a mouthful, but yeah, it's going on up in DC, and so everybody should be there. I mean, Target, Albertsons, all the distribution
It was
hubs.
a Giant Eagle,
Yep. And so we kind of have to play it two ways. So we have ins with all the distribution, but the distributors don't actually move our cookies to you guys, to the end user. They just get them to the next kind of step in the retail chain. And so having an Albertsons there, having a Target or whomever makes it worth it, because then they can go, yeah, we use KeHE, and we can just run over to the KeHE booth and talk to them, and bam. So it's nice. In this game, the larger scale organization you deal with, it's harder and harder to not use brokers. Even down to like Target is like, if you've never done business with us before, no offense, we have we have processes, we have things, use the broker. And then once you've done it long enough, you can probably speak to it. I know you and Max have probably spoke about some of it, but then it gets a little easier. But in the meantime, sometimes it's easier to just use the broker, but you're giving up a ton of money. So we're going to see what.
Yeah, I think that a lot of people go on to complain about food costs, but it's really because the only way to get your foot into some of these places is you have to you get a middleman involved. And then on top of that, there's another middleman involved. So you have a middleman brokering the deal. Then you have a middleman distributing your product to Target or whoever, because there's 2,000 Target locations. So like, you're not going to be able to self-distribute that unless you're just already a behemoth company, right? But in general, you're going to have to get a distributor involved. So the broker wants a cut, the distributor wants a cut, and then the wholesaler on the other side, or the retailer on the other side, they want a cut. So this product that you want to sell, like you want to put it on the shelf for like $3, you can't do that, because they've got to be able to sell it for $4 or $5 to make their money. So either you get shrunk down or you got to jack the price up. And so I think a lot of people complain about grocery prices right now. A lot of this is just, we've made these processes so difficult that all these people are like in the way of like just getting straight to Target. So like, if we could talk straight to Target and then work out with a food distributor, then cut the broker out, it's like you're talking probably a 10% savings in general across the board.
It's a lot of money.
Most of the grocery side. But that's the game that you have to play right now. But so what Adam was saying too, if you're in with a food distributor, they're not necessarily going to go to the people that they service and be like, hey, buy this new product. So you still got to do the sales. They're just there to help facilitate the product once you've made your sales. There are ways, if anyone watches this that's into this world, there are things called like spiffs. So they're like sales incentives that you can give to food brokers to sell your product. So like, for every case you sell, we're going to give you an extra $1. So that's, obviously if they're moving 20 cases a week, it's like extra $20 a week. Obviously it's usually more money than $1, but it just depends on the size of the cases.
Yeah, I don't remember what it was with, but we would get it from Red Diamond, from Coca-Cola, with the fast food stuff. And it was enough money to throw a hell of a Christmas party every year. So.
Someone was telling me that they were a salesperson for Sweet Hawaiian rolls or whatever. That was their like main thing. And they would spiff out at like $90,000 a quarter. So $30,000 a month in spiffs.
I see that.
Just for selling Sweet Hawaiian rolls.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's huge. And think about it though, like $90,000, there's Sweet Hawaiian rolls everywhere you go. So get fat and weird out there, bro. I'll give you $90,000 too, any of y'all.
This person was the like largest seller of this, so they probably had like some Walmarts and some big box brands underneath their belt for what they were doing. But yeah, it was crazy when I was hearing the numbers. I was like, oh my goodness.
Yeah, the worst part about that stuff is, really just try to hit it yourself, because a lot of times what the brokers wind up being is just person with a cell phone number, right? It'd be like, y'all pitch me an idea and I'm like, I'll give you Brad's cell phone number for 5% forever or something, and you're like, well, this sucks.
Yeah. Yeah, and you also have to do your research. Some brokers are there to help you get in, and then they'll help manage the relationship, and then you can cut ties, and then you can go direct with them, but then you have to manage that relationship. And then some brokers, like, if you cut ties with them, you cut ties with the retailer too.
Right,
so it's definitely
Which it
interesting.
makes sense, because, again, we've even implemented processes here that might make I don't know, one of our B2B customers or something might have to do something extra. But I mean, I could easily see Target going like, until you are dang, some Kellogg's, like, we're not going to deal with you directly. You're going to use one of our people. We know them. We trust them.
Right.
We da. I get that. Existing relationship.
They know the process. They know the paperwork. They know how to do it, right? So, but yeah, so that's kind of like the ins and outs of everything that's like going on right now.
I guess we can say we just dodged our hurricane, luckily.
Yeah.
Unfortunately for
Hurricane Helene, we dodged it. I don't know if you saw there was like another one they were talking about starting up, but apparently some wind shear like kept it from forming. Thank goodness. A lot of people were like, "Oh, hurricane season's over." It's like, no, Michael hit in like late October.
October 10th.
Okay, middle October. Yeah. Okay, so but I will say, hurricane season doesn't end until.
Really, for us, man, November, it's when the weather changes, when it goes from hot to cold or cold to hot.
Well, they said this storm dropped so much rain in the Gulf that it actually cooled the Gulf down. Wow. Yeah, it was It was a massive hurricane.
Man, so y'all maybe that don't live on the Gulf Coast area, if you've been here, you went through Michael and you knew what you could be in for. I mean, like truly, like we're like I've been through this. It's so tiring. And then the fear-mongering, I'm sure, of the news media, but looking at the size of the storm, it looked like it was going to just take out the middle of the United States. And then luckily it kind of just shrunk and shrunk and shrunk. But it still did some major damage up in North Blair.
The flooding on like the coast of like Tampa and stuff like that was pretty bad. Yeah. But look, what I can't believe is the like North Carolina and stuff. They're having like landslides. People are stuck in homes. And I was like, bro, you didn't even get like the brunt of it. You got like, I mean, it hit as a Category 4. By the time it got to them, it was like a 2 probably or 1.
Yeah, well, that's definitely something that I was not thinking about. Maybe I would think about it if I lived in the mountains. But landslides, dude, like you think about the hurricane, you think about anything else, but you live on the side of the mountain.
Yeah.
The whole mountain could come down on your house.
And that's apparently what's happened.
Yeah, dude. I saw this thing with this lady got taken out, and it was just, ugh.
Yeah. There is a video going around viral right now where someone in like one of the Carolinas did the sandbags around their house, and there's literally like a river passing by their house, and their house is completely fine. They had like sump pumps like running to get any water out. I think it was mainly rainwater that they're pushing out because obviously if you sandbag it in, it rains too much, then you're essentially giving it all
a pool.
Yeah, you're making a pool. But bro, they had like literally like probably like a 3.5 foot sandbag berm where it was like sand piled up, tarp on top of that, and then sandbags stacked around it. Like they legit did it. And there's like raging waters going around this person's house.
Yeah, I've seen Aquafence. Yeah, I've seen those. Those are crazy. Have you seen the Aquafence in Tampa?
No.
So they got it set up outside the hotel.
Oh, is it outside the hospital?
Yeah. It's like got to be 4 foot high waters, and it's just this temporary thing they set up. Gosh.
I saw some people doing some really cool inventions of these interlocking plastic things that were really light, and they were kind of like L-shaped. So when the water gets on it, it can't push it over.
That's what these are, but they're like metal. They collapse, and they've got like wires and stuff to make them more, I guess, structurally reinforced.
Yeah. Yeah, well, they probably have to worry about liability because if one of those like came loose and all this stuff. But it definitely was interesting. But yeah, so dodge the hurricane. Thankful. My heart breaks for the people that are affected by this. I know what it's like to go through a hurricane. I know what it's like to have your home flooded, and things like that. And it's difficult. But I will tell you, silver lining is a lot of the people around here are really happy with their new homes.
Yep.
You got to renovate your house for free, essentially. So that kitchen you hated, you get a new one or whatever. So I will say, yes, it sucks to live through a situation like that, but like in the positives are you can kind of rebuild the way you want to.
Yeah. So make sure you read your policy.
Yeah, hopefully you're insured. Another one, dock worker strike. This one I think is definitely going to affect more people than they think because most of your goods are imported.
That's right.
And so like obviously we think about from like us importing, machinery in or packaging supplies, stuff like that. Not really worried about it from like our goods. Most of our goods, I'm pretty sure, are U.S. based. You know?
All of our ingredients and everything. I don't think we're going to have a problem with that. But yeah, it's the stuff you guys don't realize. Like your paper towels you go order, they're packaged in something, and that package comes from somewhere. And the paper towels came from overseas too. But just saying, like even if you think it's a made in America good, it's not all the way finished. The packaging, the sticker, the tags, the whatever is coming from overseas. It just is. It's supply chain. And so
even your favorite T-shirts a lot of times are made in another country and then maybe printed in the U.S. or something.
Right.
You know?
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff that goes on, and both on the prices, meat, produce, things that are constantly being shipped in kind of like just-in-time style. I don't know what happens to that. Because some of these things have like definitive timelines. Like they have to get through the port. And so if it's something with like fast clearance and customs and stuff and it has to get through the port, those are going to have to take priority, which means all your low priority stuff, because the port's not shutting down. It's just dropping to like 20% efficiency.
Right, and they're saying that 70% of bananas, I think is what we talked about, come from and by the way, this is just the East Coast port. Right. However, the West Coast port will get overwhelmed as soon as people realize they need to start diverting. So I don't really think...
Well, in the West Coast, nothing's stopping them from being like, we want 70%. See, this is the thing. I don't know anything about this, so I can't speak to it.
Well, they just signed a new deal in the West Coast last year.
Okay, perfect.
The union workers just signed a new deal. The problem is the East Coast workers are like asking for like double what the West Coast...
70% increase in pay. And so I don't know what that's like because the only person that... I have a friend that's union... that I haven't reached out about this specifically because I didn't want him to be salty, but dude makes a lot of money, like per hour, like a crane operator. So like a 70% wage increase would have him making a couple $100 an hour.
Right.
So like, I don't think that kind of margin is just baked into every employee on the dock.
Right.
And if they're forcing the AI robots hand, I don't know.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's how I feel about the situation is, the squeaky wheel gets the grease, but it also gets my attention to be like, how can I not have this wheel anymore, right? So I think with the way we're going with AI and automation, it's kind of like, fuck around and find out. Like, push hard enough and...
Well, we had a little case of that here, didn't we? I mean, like, squeaky wheel gets the grease, and eventually you get enough attention, and we have to replace... I mean, we have staff that,
yeah, that's true.
Same deal. They're not striking, but, like, we get enough pushback, and it's like, okay, cool. The brand is always going to rise. And so those shipping giants, the people that own those ships, the companies, what do you think kind of profit is in that? I mean,
a lot.
Billions.
Yeah.
They're not shutting down.
Right.
You're only going to slap them on the wrist long enough to maybe make a change, but 70% feels like...
Well, the thing is
to ask too much.
Well, the thing is, like, so this crane operator now making $200 an hour, so he's making $8,000 a week, so he's making $400,000 a year. You go, that robot's only $150,000.
Yeah, or who cares?
Yeah.
$4 million. It never calls in. It never goes like it breaks. You fix it. You get it back in line.
It's a tax write-off.
It's a write-off.
Yeah,
dude. Depreciate that bad boy every year. Run it 24/7 or whatever. I don't know. Yeah, dude.
So I think that like, though I do appreciate unions as far as like making sure like people don't get like everyone kind of gets a good deal. I think that sometimes using your power as a pool like that is only going to negatively affect you eventually.
You know what I would do? I would take all the cranes, install 5G on them, and find qualified crane workers in other countries that can run them on your schedule. And, qualified people that just the exchange rate goes so much farther. We know how to do that. I would do that. I would take everything and make it remote control based. You could do that with everything from our Bobcat. You could make remote control.
Well, yeah, you saw that. You mentioned the remote control robot like stocking shelves.
I saw a thing. There's a guy sitting in Manila or somewhere running a robot. I don't know if it was teaching it. I think it had something to do with machine learning. It was teaching it but the he's making the robot stock the shelves. Maybe we don't have quite, but you're dealing with connexes. So it's like you need trucks, those self-drive. You need cranes, those can be remote controlled. You need big forklift type situation, those can be remote controlled.
It turns out you don't need nearly as many safety personnel when there's no humans involved.
Yeah, nobody to get run over, nobody to get drunk on the job, nobody to do anything.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I get it. Go out there, get the money you feel like you deserve, but also know that the harder you push, eventually the breaking point does
you're cutting
occur.
your wick shorter and shorter.
Right.
Cool.
Yeah. So I'm very curious to see what happens with this from a standpoint, just like curious of like what's going to really happen.
It'd be funny if Elon Musk just swooped in with robots because he seems to be saving everybody.
Yeah, Tesla bots over there just doing it. Well, do you think we'll need saving from a second moon?
Yeah, dude, I want Elon on this. Okay, I need to know his thoughts.
So there's a second moon passing by here that is getting essentially it's like a meteor or an asteroid or something. I don't know what's the difference between a meteor and an asteroid, but
yeah,
it's an asteroid from a belt, right? That somehow follows the sun, and it's getting close enough to the Earth that it will become a second moon for.
It's already here.
A couple of days though, right? It's not a long time.
No. It's gonna do something stupid where it like it's gonna be here till I think
November 25th.
But then it said somewhere it's gonna be closest to the closest to the Earth later.
Okay.
Later in the year.
Yeah, it's doing this like weird wobbly thing because it's like kind of getting caught in our pull, and I'm sure the sun's still pulling on it and things like that. Also, like I don't understand that. How can something get caught in your pool and then eventually get closer than our moon is? But then I guess at the speed it's going, it still has so much force that the sun grabs it back. I just don't understand how the sun grabs it back.
I don't understand who is in charge to give the entire Earth like the clearance to go like this asteroid that is clearly flying at the Earth, close enough for Earth's gravity to grab it, is not going to pull it into the Earth. No, it's not going to do any of that.
It has to be math.
Everyone is
science.
Yeah, but what organization?
Oh.
Says that and everyone just goes,
that's true.
It's like Earth. I mean, I don't know what you do about it, but I feel like we would.
Yeah, like some scientist somewhere, like his job is to be like,
we're good.
Yeah, you're good to go.
They call up Neil deGrasse Tyson.
Based on his trajectory, its speed, like all that stuff.
I'll take, if we elect Neil Tyson, I'll take his word for it, but I just want there to be somebody on it, okay? I saw that and it about ruined my day.
Yeah. Well, I've always curious because obviously the moon controls tides. I'm curious to see, like, does the second moon affect tides?
Well,
or is it so small that it's like not
tides, but it also affects, or at least they say there's a correlation between like full moons and like crime and people being wild and crazy.
Yeah,
I don't know, right? It definitely affects the stuff that goes on in the
supposedly
water.
Supposedly having babies.
Yeah, right.
Full moon.
Yeah. So I don't know. It's not very large, so you're not going to be able to see it. Supposedly, you would need a fancy telescope and basically know where it was going to be to see it. They say this isn't the first time that this has happened. It's actually happened other times, so news to me. But definitely fun to put your conspiracy brain on and go, there's a lot of old civilizations that talked about people coming here or things coming here. It'd be a lot easier to get here if you just were hopping off. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like if you were just on a trajectory, like an elliptical.
Right.
Or an ellipsis, I guess, or something. So it's like interesting to think what planets might we come close to in the natural order of things. Because you kind of think about the Earth going around the sun, but you don't really think the sun's going around something else.
Right.
Things cross paths. I don't know. It's kind of interesting. Never really thought about it.
Yeah, especially like what you said, like the ellipses type travel, like something we think of everything in a circular motion. So you only get close when another circle gets close to you. But if there's this like ellipses, something could get really close from you and then be like really far away.
And then it could happen only ever so often.
That's interesting. Yeah, there you go.
Space. It hurts my brain when I think about it too much.
So Arkansas sues YouTube is what Eastman has written up there. And I don't know. Arkansas sues YouTube's over claim that the site is fueling a mental health crisis. I just think that's reaching, right? Because, I mean, like, I want to sue alcohol companies for giving alcohol, right?
It's like, interesting that it took lawyers this long to jump on it. There's precedents set with, like, tobacco and certain things.
Warnings.
Yep, and other addictive substances.
Well, then does Netflix need a warning?
Well,
like watching this
what I was going to say is, but they don't have it yet on things like candy and things like, obviously our delicious cookies. They are, gratis. You want to grab them, you want to eat them all the time. There's correlations to everything.
Yeah.
So it's weird to think that they would go for YouTube first and not TikTok.
Or Instagram.
Or Facebook's
been around. Well, I guess YouTube's been around the longest.
It all is built in a way. So they're claiming that it's making it addictive. But it's like.
I will say that they are misleading consumers about the safety of children on their platforms. Because,
absolutely.
like, YouTube Kids they do not do a good job of filtering that. I've seen some stuff on YouTube Kids.
Oh no, it's very bad.
Yeah.
There's
so Letty is actually not allowed to watch YouTube Kids at all. She can watch Disney app. She can watch like stuff like that. But like
Kirsty has an app. I can't think of what it's called that the kids that they filter it. Damn.
But so I will agree with that statement. I think that there probably should be a lawsuit based on that. But
see, here's the thing, and those of you with kids will know.
Oh, so they really are suing on that. Arkansas lawsuit claims that YouTube algorithms steer youth to harmful adult content.
Oh, okay.
And that facilitates the spread of child sexual abuse.
Somebody did a deep dive on this, and actually they were setting up new accounts, and they were setting them as minors, and it was showing like sexually explicit content, not maybe what the limits of, but like.
Yeah.
I don't want to see that.
Yeah.
Or I don't want my kids to see that.
Right.
Yeah, I can see that, dude. It's weird. It's a fine line you got to balance, right? Because as a brand, Facebook, Instagram, the rest of them, they want their platform to be as usable as possible, nice and easy, and you just want to hang out here and stay here all day.
Right.
But that is causing, I think, people to have mental health problems.
Yeah, I think the hard part though is that just like it all comes down to like personal use. It's like social media, YouTube, all that stuff is like it's fire.
Yeah,
fire is a tool that can be used for a lot of good things. It's also a tool that can be used for a lot of bad things.
Yep.
And so I think it's like one of those things is like you have to learn how to moderate yourself. Like no one can do it for you. I mean, it's like alcohol. I mean, no one's gonna tell you like you. Well, I mean, people will tell you had too much to drink, but people will tell you stop scrolling. You're on your phone too much.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, like that's you. If you go home and you scroll all day, you go home and you drink a 24 pack by yourself. Yeah. Like
I would say the correlation would be very similar. I think you could drink yourself into depression. I think you can social media yourself into a depression. All those neurons firing all the time, stimulate. Then when you get off, you're kind of like, I need something.
Well, you talk about how fake social media is from the aspect of like you used to know a lot of people that would literally take like
in the athlete fitness world, y'all. A lot of these folks are not walking around looking like that all year round. They'll do 6 months worth of posts, outfit changes. They only have the camera people for they'll hire a camera person, get some set changes, or be like, I'm going to Tulum once. Let me make it look like I've been there.
Right,
a load of times.
Yeah, they'll literally like get all their posts for the entire year in a few week period where they're at their leanest. I mean, I've seen that too, like girls and guys that compete in shows, and like literally all you get is like their like show and competition type photos for like the next.
Yeah, they want you to sign up for their coaching program usually, but that's usually somewhere in there.
Well, yeah, and it makes sense, right? Because most of the time they're like, oh, that person's shredded. They must know what they're talking about, which is not necessarily the truth. I mean,
drugs and starvation. That's what they do.
It's one way to
get lean.
The other one, I want to know about this one. Montana rancher gets prison time for cloning protected sheep. Montana rancher gets 6 months in prison for creating hybrid sheep for captive hunting. Was sentenced 6 months in prison with a 3-year supervised release and paid $20,000 for cloning the Marco Polo sheep. How did he do it? How did he clone it? I guess they don't tell you how he clones it. So, yeah, I don't know. Do I think cloning humans is a thing?
He bought parts of the sheep?
Let's see. Yeah, rancher illegally bought parts of the Marco Polo sheep, one of the largest sheep species in the world, weighing 300 pounds or more. And from 2013 to 2021, scroll up a little bit more, 2013 2021, also sold mountain sheep, mountain goats, and various other hoofed animals. Captivating facilities for shooting preserves allows to hold trophy hunters. So, yeah, somehow he... it says it there. How did he create it? To create the hybrid sheep, sent genetic material from the parts of the third party to generate cloned embryos. He paid $4,200 deposit for cloning. Oh, so they sent stuff off to have it cloned. Interesting.
To the cloning place.
They were trying to create a larger... Well, so first off, do I feel like this is wrong? I don't know. I mean, is this what designer dogs are? I mean, Bernedoodles and all that stuff. I know it's not cloned, but they force these forced breeding of animals to create these other things, right? Yeah. To create... The Golden Doodle was like, oh, you want a Golden Retriever style dog, like the loyalty and that, with the hypoallergenic of a poodle. And that's how that kind of stuff started.
I think the problem is that
they were using clone.
rancher guy just did it on his own, and who knows what like what the biological or ecological, whatever
ramifications are.
Yeah, you don't know. I don't know what a ram or a goat's gonna run around and do, but definitely bugs, like.
Yeah.
But then again, we've done that. Like, I mean, they have like ligers.
The government's done it.
Right. We have ligers.
The government's allowed to do. You're not.
Right. That's what I think it is. I mean,
but yeah, I mean, so essentially, this dude was trying to make just big old trophy sheep, and he got smacked. But the truth is,
that's impressive that you were just like, I'm gonna clone it.
First off, how do you
breed it?
How do you find people to clone sheep for you?
Dude, that's what I'm saying.
And also, how do you only pay $4,200? Like, now I'm over here thinking, like, what can I clone?
I know. I want to clone a saber tooth.
Yeah, I mean, why aren't
we
doing
need samples?
I want to see what this thing. Really
I want to
like.
know. The dude's like, "Yo, send me some of your sheep," and they're like, "How many you want?" He's like, "Just parts of the sheep." I don't know what that means.
Speaking of cloning a saber tooth,
send me a leg.
Have you ever seen people people that draw dinosaurs, like redraw animals that we currently have if they just found their fossil remains, and you're like, oh, bro,
yeah.
It doesn't look like, you know what I mean?
Right.
Like they'll take like a pterodactyl, like that thing looks crazy, but then I've seen people be like, this is probably what it actually looked like, and you're like, oh, it kind of looks like a bird. It's a regular bird.
Yeah, the whole dinosaur thing, we've talked plenty of that, is nuts to me because of how matter of fact I was taught everything was like, this is
what they look like. Yeah.
And then you're like, oh, wait, no.
Right. They like I saw someone redraw like a dog or something, and it like literally looks like this like crazy looking. Yeah, a hippo like looks like something that would like murder you.
Oh yeah, dude.
Which it will, but a baboon also. The baboon's the scariest. That thing looks like it looks like a velociraptor mixed with a dog.
Yeah, so I mean all of the things that really give us any of our characteristics besides our stature, like skin, feathers, whatever, that's all long, long gone.
Right.
In fact, the bone is long, long gone. It's just an impression in a rock,
Right.
So like,
yeah, and then like, yeah. So I mean, it's interesting. You look at a baboon, you're like, that's not at all what they look like. So that's speaking of your saber tooth, I wonder if a saber tooth actually looked like the way that you're imagining a saber tooth tiger would look like, or not.
Or a hippo.
Does it just look like, is a saber-toothed tiger just a hippo?
It would look like a hippo if you think about it. If it didn't have all that blubber, all that fat, all that whatever, maybe the hoofs, maybe not, but otherwise, because I don't know what those look like underneath, like like elephant.
Yeah.
Paws, pads, whatever they're
Right.
called.
So you deep down inside, you're like woolly mammoths and stuff like that. It's like maybe it was just a really, really big elephant. Like. Long story short.
Oh, yeah, they look stupid as bones, too.
Yeah.
Oh, hippos are goofy looking. They are the silliest looking thing that will kill the mess out of you.
But, I mean, I could see how someone could think that was
something
a
other than it
saber-toothed
was.
tiger looking
thing.
Yeah,
you could think that, or you could think that thing had, like, lizard scales on it. And
scales or, like, some big tail with, like, a weaponized
spikes.
tail, and stuff like that. Yeah. Because that definitely, and you would call that a meat eater.
Yeah.
Like, look at that thing. That's a meat eater, So yeah, I think it's really funny, when we start talking about dinosaurs and stuff like that, and just like what pterodactyls really probably look like is not. Because I mean, when you see a pterodactyl, they don't put any feathers on them. There's like all that skin looking.
I saw somebody redo T-Rex, and it basically they did it to where he looked like a giant ostrich with a big head, kind of, and so that the little arms that he had weren't actually arms; they were part of like wings that had kind of like. Didn't use anymore.
Oh,
and I was like, oh yeah, that makes a lot more sense.
Yeah, that's wild. All the questions that you wish that you. So there's the saber-toothed tiger build. So it kind of is very similar to this like hippo. It doesn't have as big of a chest cavity.
Yeah.
But what if they were just mini hippos?
Yep.
Smaller hippos.
Love it.
That's my theory. Saber-toothed tiger.
Those of you that can't see, we have a monitor up over here. And we're looking at dinosaur skeletons.
Yeah. Maybe we'll throw some on the screen too, so you guys can see what we're looking at. But I guess the final thing before we got to wrap up, because I'm gonna have to jet out of here. I got something else. But Russian fighter jet threatens F-16. I'm curious to see.
F around and find out
what this one's about. A startling video shows Russian fighter jet flying within feet of a U.S. F-16 near Alaska.
Oh, near Alaska?
They always do stuff near Alaska.
Yeah, Russia?
Isn't there a spot where Alaska is like really super close to
Russia's
Russia?
getting close to needing some democracy anyways over there, okay? So
Was that an actual like joke that you can see Russia from Alaska, or can you see Russia from Alaska?
I'm sure if you're up in the jet, you can.
No, I mean like I think there's an area.
Oh, yeah. There's probably like a sliver or something of no.
I think it's an
land.
island or something like that.
Sure.
You may be able to see, but you can't actually see Russia from Alaska and stay on mainland. However, there are 2 islands sitting in the middle of the Bering Sea that shorten the distance between them.
Yeah, I was like, I know for a fact I watched something on this.
Yeah. So, but it's a lot closer than people think it is. Like it's not that far away.
Yeah, but I wonder what's going on in that area of Russia, because like if that's Alaska, look how much further north it is.
It's only 50 miles.
50 miles north?
50 miles between the U.S.
No, I know
and
the
Russia.
distance. I'm just saying it's going to be that much colder. I wonder if there's even a base there, or like why do they need to fly around over there? Either way, we have something called an F-22, and if you would like to be introduced to it, Russia, keep playing games.
Yeah. Yeah.
Have you seen an F-22 pilot go against F-16 pilots?
No.
Oh yeah.
It smokes them?
Oh yeah.
Oh,
they can't even see him. They don't know
wow.
where he is. Radars, all that jammed, all that stuff.
Yeah. Well, I do know that, like, you know, anytime we did operations in the Pacific, there's areas that people patrol to kind of like, it's like a show of force. Mm-hmm. Like, there's those islands, I don't remember what they're called. Spratly Islands comes to mind. But anyways, it's the islands that like China is making. Oh, like they're essentially like, they're like adding sand, you know, to like make these islands, right? And then they're claiming that they owned all the water around it now because they make these islands. And China believes they own the land they own the water much further out than what we call international waters. Like it's only 12 miles and you're in international waters, right? So we would surface our submarine and we would drive close outside of the 12 miles, but inside of what they said. Yeah. And we would be like, come at me, bro. Yeah. That's really what we do. And we called it freedom of passage. And it was like us being like, no one needs to worry. You can drive this close to these islands. They're not going to do anything to you. But yeah, so I think a lot of this stuff is a lot of these.
A lot of that going on.
Yep, Spratly Islands. See, look at me. Look at me.
In that little pass over there where all the shipping vessels always having problems. I feel like Iran's always.
Yep. Same thing.
Causing issues.
Yeah, a lot of those countries act like they own all of that water out there, and so you know we do a lot of this stuff that's called
send them some freedom.
Passage, but yeah, so I actually have seen those islands.
What's
it
it called?
Not like it like.
What are they?
Person.
Spratly Islands.
It is the Spratly Islands. Yeah.
Why do they call it that?
But look at them. They literally built these bases out of like. I don't know.
Yeah. Dumping dirt.
They joke that these things are going to be underwater. They're like Dubai, where people are like, why are you spending all this money? They're going to sink down. But I don't know. I feel like these people must have an idea of like, well, it's not going to sink down in the next 50 years, so we're just going to do it. I heard they were just trying to extend their military presence like closer to Taiwan is why they were doing that with them. Because you can see in that picture right there, the South China Sea that he's looking at right now, where the Spratly Islands are. It kind of puts them in between Vietnam, Malaysia, the Philippines. It's a lot of shipping through there, so they're kind of being like, no, we own all this water. You can't come in our water.
It's so funny. It's like you built an island. Like we have, like who recognizes that? I don't know. Silly.
Yeah. It's wow. It was, but it's when we went to the Philippines when we did all that stuff over there. So. It's interesting, you know, because you're just like, I wouldn't say you're provoking, but you're doing something that they don't think you should be able to do, but like that everyone else in the U.S., or not U.S., everyone else in the world says you should do this. This is international waters. And China's like, no, we own this water. So, yeah. A little bit of posturing, a little bit of this.
Oh, yeah, plenty of that going on, you know. So, I mean, even now, guys over in Afghanistan doing security work and stuff like that, I mean, you're always under Taliban control. Yeah. So, like.
Yeah, see, like countries have the right to reclaim land within 12 nautical miles of their territorial seas. So that's why. So,
you're like, oh, dibs. Oh, this is mine too.
And then it looks like there's an exclusive zone where like up to 200 miles, like you can't just like pop an island up and call it yours. It looks like so. But anyways,
again, who governs all this?
NATO.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I don't know either. Yeah.
United Nations.
Because then China would be like, I'm sorry, we don't listen to your rules.
I mean, that's what they do pretty much. So, yeah. But I mean, I remember we would, when we would be coming back into Seattle, you know, we'd obviously have to go off the coast, you know, and then we'd have to like go in near like Canada to go through the Strait of Juan de Fuca, like get back to Seattle. And all the time there's Canada has sonar buoys that listen, so we'd have to like rig for ultra quiet so that they couldn't hear us because everything has a certain signature, if that makes sense. Like the coolest thing that I learned in the military, and like during like sonar, a boat driving by that has 5 blades versus 4 blades, they can tell the difference in that. But then on top of that, some boats, you can tell exactly what boat it is because of like just frequencies that are going on.
That's cool.
This one has a pump that's really loud, so you hear this squeal, this tonal, like whatever. Like it's really crazy. So whenever we would pass by these sonar buoys, like we would have to like rig for really quiet because they didn't want any tonals to go out that could then be attached to your boat. It's almost like a fingerprint. Like this tonal only appears on this class of ship or this ship specifically.
That makes sense. We did some stuff when I worked out at Tyndall, not with sound, but with X-ray and various densities, various other, I don't know if they're classified or not, scanning technologies. It was cool being there during that time because it went from being able to X-ray could just like look at something to it could tell you exactly what it was. Down to the different densities and all the different variables they were able to extract out of these sensors. It's exactly, they could say it. They could tell you it was, they could tell you it's fruit jelly. They wouldn't be able to tell you it's grape jelly, but
But I mean, there's times that we were like tracking other countries' warships or submarines or whatever, and like we would get intel and it'd be like, at this distance, you will pick up these tonals, and then at this distance. So like, not only could they tell you like, but based on when you're picking these up about how far away you were, but like the specific tonals, you know, on the ship and stuff like that. So
it's wild that they put that together because, you know, the submarine program, granted, you know, it's old enough, but to be flying blind around clicking and whistles and stuff to trust with that degree of safety, with that degree of everything.
Well, and also, I don't know, hopefully I'm not going to get in trouble for saying what I say, but like, you don't use active sonar is where you like a dolphin spits out noise and gets it back. In the submarine force, we don't use active sonar, because if you put active sonar out, then people can hear you and then they know where you are and too. So everything is like passive. So like that sonar dome in the front, we had these things called towed arrays that like you tow behind you that are just giant sonar buoys, like picking up information. And so then you can use like, based on where you hear something in the front and where you're picking up on the towed array, that you can extrapolate where these people are.
That's how you don't run into stuff.
Underwater mountains. That's what that one submarine ran into underwater mountain and a guy died. But most of it, we're using just data of like the depths of the ocean that you've collected to like, that's your map.
Right.
And so there are
Hopefully
areas.
Nothing changed.
Yeah, it is. It's wild. It really is. So, but I've got to jump out of here because I have to go to another meeting. But hope you guys enjoyed the podcast. Hope you like the new setup. Let us know what you think we should put behind us. We have some ideas. I think we're going to paint the wall a darker color so we can kind of pop out a little bit more. But as always, you're worth it. Do hard shit.